Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I just want to welcome you to a very exciting moment. This is the start of the Beast Files. I'm here with my
The
really
Beast
good friend,
Files.
Jeff 831.
Taking the bribe. No chance. I'm here for the long haul.
And what we're going to do is we're just going to talk about our experience in the Beast games, what it was like to be a part of episode one. But just want to jump into it. Jeff, super excited to get this started with you, man.
Thrilled, my friend. The J and J show. Jeff and Jeremy, 831, 991. It's gonna be a ton of fun. Let's do it.
This is sweet. A lot of people have been commenting, seeing Jeff in a lot of the shots, seeing me in a few of the shots, and asking if we were actually friends in real life. And honestly, I think that is one of the coolest things that came from this entire experience is as we're here in the middle of all of this stress and all of this excitement, true bonds and amazing friendship was kindled. And honestly, I've made a friend with you for life. So to be able to start this podcast together and just to be able to share our experiences, I am very excited about it. What was
I'm with you, my friend.
what was one of the
I will before we get started on season one. I do want to share when you and I kind of became friends before we even knew it. We kind of became friends
yeah,
with kind of connecting eyes and really didn't say anything in Vegas on the flags, and that was when I go, okay, I see who you are. I know what you're doing. I can work with you. And I think everything kind of just grew from there.
man, Vegas was really, really cool. For those of you that haven't seen it yet, you've got to go ahead and go to Mr. Beast channel on YouTube, and you're going to see 2,000 people competing to be a part of season one of the Beast games on Amazon Prime. And it was wild. The game Jeff is talking about, there was 1,100 flags that got placed out, and I believe what was there, 1,400 of us at that time,
1,400 to get down to 1,100.
and we had the opportunity to advance to the next round, but you had to go get a flag. So we're on this massive football field. We're running this short length. They'd put out 3 flags. Sometimes they'd put out 10 flags. Sometimes they'd put out 50 flags. You cross the line and you don't get a flag, your Beast Games dreams are over. And it was a really profound moment. Jeff and I kind of wanted to help people. And again, that might sound silly because this is a game where we're trying to compete, where we're trying to eliminate, but there's a way that you can do that in without backstabbing or cutting people off and stealing from people. So we had a really solid line of communication, and Jeff was a huge role in helping keep people calm and like helping people get assigned a number and running to that flag. I was one of them. There's a few other gentlemen that helped us out, and we got a couple hundred people across. And that's why Jeff's number is 831. That's why mine is 991. Those are the flags out of the 1,100 that we were able to grab. And I would agree with Jeff. That was definitely a moment that solidified our friendship. Seeing the fact that you were able to hold your nerves, where a lot of
Mhm.
people were just panicking. A lot of people were, fighting to be one of the first flags. And I, proposed this crazy idea, and you were so on board with it, and it was great. I don't
Yeah.
know. It was a good feeling, and I do have to
I
say,
I
like,
will
it was good.
I will never forget it. I mean, we were like two ships passing the night. It felt like two generals. You were going this way, I was going this way. We see each other's eyes. We kind of go, okay, we know what we got to do. But let's get to season one. We can
Yeah,
certainly chat about, but let's. I mean, season one, watching that was unbelievable. I mean, I we lived it, but watching it was just crazy.
it really was. Yeah, being in that moment for episode one. First off, to step on set for the first time was just remarkable. We've gone through Vegas. We had a little waiting period in between where we were preparing for the actual show. But when you stepped on set, you got fitted for your costume, your jersey, and then we go into this place where there's platform after platform after platform. After hours of waiting, I mean, the set was beyond impressive.
It was wild. I mean, and I was all the way in the back. But the beautiful thing about that is I got to enter first. Um, so I had a guy in front of me, 832, and I was right behind him, and we got to see all these columns and all these rows and just all the lights and the pyramid of money and Jimmy on top. And it was awesome.
It was wild. What were your thoughts when you first stepped onto the platform? No one had explained what any of these games were to us. We just knew that our number meant something. It was on our jersey. Obviously, we were getting put on a specific platform, but what went through your mind when you saw the set and now all of a sudden we're all essentially on our own little island?
I mean, I while we were preparing, while we were holding for a couple days, like we were doing all these brain teasers and puzzles, and I was convinced I see these iPads, like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have to do Tetris or puzzles or matching. So my mind went into it was like, okay, we're here, we're on these little platforms, and we have to do a bunch of mental games. Um, and I was totally wrong.
I'm honestly grateful that it wasn't. I was a little nervous about certain puzzles. You know, every once in a while, my wife and I like to watch Survivor together, and there'll be like this epic competition where they're running under nets and swimming and doing all this crazy stuff. Then it's like, boom, hard stop. There's a puzzle, and I'm like, yeah, I'd probably be done right there. Like
I
four
mean,
hours
we
stop.
were on the bus cramming puzzles. Like cramming puzzles. And maybe, at least I tell myself I got my mind ready, to kind of get through episode one. But it's really humorous looking back at it.
Yeah, I do think the chatter for everyone's thoughts of what it would be. But again, it was interesting because, I was on the very last row. I wasn't as far back as you were, but I didn't have anyone to one side. So we
Hmm.
we could see quite a few people, but again, we were pretty far away from the money and things of that nature. But I essentially when I got set there, I didn't know anybody when I showed up on platforms. I didn't have any bonds from Vegas that were immediately around me, but we had some really cool people. We had Brian, we had Eric, and I mean Mark. I could see Mark Anthony like way, way up. I could actually see you in the back, but
Yeah,
we weren't able to really communicate and strategize. Not that I think it would have mattered at that stage. I literally had no voice. I think in the video you see me, I sound completely different. They're miking me up, and I'm like, I've got no voice. They're like, oh, it'll be great. I'm like, I've got nothing. But
that was so good.
it did help me just kind of focus in, because I think a lot of people don't understand is that first challenge. It was 3 days, wasn't it?
I I've heard people say 3 days. In my mind, it was two, but I'm pretty sure it was three. Either way, it was much longer than 35 minutes. And
Yeah.
it was just stressful. I mean, all the stress you see on the episode was real. Everybody wanted to advance, and obviously those that didn't, took the money and went home. But like, I'd say the vast majority, I'd say 90% of the people there, like, get me to the city, and everybody was doing everything they could to do it.
Well, now let's talk about the start of the show. We're all on the platforms. The energy is high, and Jimmy presents $1 million. $1 million. And I mean, it took a while because they literally brought it out in bags.
Yeah, and
And
just
they're
dumped it
just
out. I mean,
dumping $1 million on stage. And he tells everybody, this money's yours. If you want it, just come up and get it. But you're done. You're not going to actually be a part of the first game. But like, if you want to eliminate yourself and take a chunk of this money, that was huge. What were your thoughts? Were you tempted at all by that offer?
no, like, not at all. And it obviously it helps. I was so far in the back, so I couldn't even see the money being dumped on the stage. So, it was nice that I didn't even get tempted, but there was no part of me. I was there to advance. I was there to kind of tell a bigger story. And so, like, for me, it was kind of like, hey, this is awesome. I never even thought of this. But yeah, there was zero part of me that was going to take any bit of that. How about you?
I didn't have the temptation, but I was really intrigued on how it went down. I did think like, okay, realistically, if there was a chance I was going to take this money, I would do it at the absolute last second. because I mean, early on, it was a 10-minute timer. So early on, it feels good to be like, hey, I'm the only one. Like, I think that's how it started. The guy walks up, Jimmy's like, congratulations, you're a millionaire. And then, like,
Yeah,
two
I know.
seconds later, like, bang, someone else hits it. And they're like, oh, well, you have a 500,000. And true to that form, literally within the last few seconds, there was
Oh,
like 20 or 30 people that
totally.
hit the button.
Totally. Yeah. So it was I ex you know I in retrospect it's kind of like of course so many people can see that and go, "Oh, I'm gonna be the only one to press it." But yeah, they all walked away with 19 grand, which is not chump change at all. Um and I think the cool thing is I think there was 52 of them. So now I kind of go, "Okay, my odds get a little bit better to get to the city." So that's kind of what my mind was all about was I just got so sold on the city that I was going to try to do everything I could to get there.
Yeah, I mean, they hinted at that early on, the city. And they didn't give us a ton of information, but we heard the rumors. We heard the rumors that, this is a place that Jimmy has spent, I think in the behind the scenes, he's saying like 14 or 15 million
Yeah,
dollars.
crazy.
So we're hearing rumors of this. It hasn't been officially announced. We just know that this isn't the only set. And it was kind of cool. Yeah, 52 people dropped, um, gave us a better chance. It's still at that stage. There's what, 948 of us?
And keep in mind, like the pictures of the city had already leaked. So people are like looking at these cabins going, okay, there's 12 of these, one is probably a bathroom, the other one is probably food. So now there's 10 of them. And just people doing math and like, it has to be between 500 and 600 people, no more. So in our mind, I go at least 348 more people have to get eliminated before we go to the city, which is still a lot. That's
Oh
like
man.
there's a 30% chance that I get eliminated before the city.
Yeah, I mean the odds were not in our favor. I mean the odds weren't in our favor even in Vegas. I mean 2,000 to 1,000. I mean we're a cut in half. Which
Yeah,
I mean I guess you have 50% odds, which isn't terrible, but I mean that's a lot of people. So
ton.
now you got these people that stepped out, got 19 grand apiece. Like you said, that's not chump change. Like that's a
Yeah.
decent amount of money to show up. Still, we're a part of history. Got to do Vegas. Got to see the first set, and then the actual challenge started. And I think that there's probably a few people that once the first challenge started, were regretting not taking the initial money.
Th that's exactly what the first thing that went through my mind, and I think it actually showed on the episode was, well, if you didn't take the money that was kind of guaranteed to self-sacrifice out, why would you self-sacrifice without any money now? And
Well, go ahead and
obviously there are
go ahead
these.
and explain that game real quick, just in case folks are a little late to the show.
Yeah,
Explain
so
what the
there was
first game was.
there was 12 rows across, 12 columns across, each had between 80 and 84 contestants. And everyone had an iPad on their platform. And for your column of 80 to 84 to get through, someone had to self-sacrifice and eliminate themselves from the game to save everybody else. The first nine columns that press the button, that have someone to press the button, are safe. The remaining three are eliminated.
Yep. And it was pretty intense. I want to share just a quick clip here of the set so we can show people kind of what we're talking about. Just give me a minute here. I mean, look at
And
this
for the
flex.
first
This
game,
is so
you will
epic.
all be competing
It's like
as
it
teams.
honestly it makes me
This
want to
row
go
is a
back.
team.
And obviously
This
this
row
one,
is
I
a
know this will
team.
never be
This row
done
is a
again,
team. You get the
like
point.
ever.
Each massive row
But
of
look at
80
this.
players will be
I love these
working
graphics.
together.
I mean, it's
Yeah, but I wouldn't cheer
It's
quite
intense.
yet. And
It's
that's
intense. I want to go
because
back
in
right.
order for your team to move
See if we can
on,
get it.
someone
and while
must
Jeremy's pulling it
sacrifice
up, the thing that's
themselves.
hard to
Meaning
explain
that
is these pillars are obviously high up off the ground, but there's space in between. So you really can only talk to people who are right around you. So, Jeremy, you were a few rows ahead of me and kind of two rows over it, but I could wave to you. I couldn't talk to you. So I can only talk to, people in front of me. So that was 8:30 Tawana. To my right was 7:47 Mark. To my left was 9:15 Trang. Um, and it was one of these things where it's like you can't really talk to many other people unless you're yelling. It was
Yeah.
just so big.
And the thing that, doesn't show, and the reason I'm pretty sure it was 3 days, because like this first challenge alone,
It
just to
was.
get us onto the platforms was a feat of logistics that I think they did really well with. We all had to be patient, but then all of a sudden they're getting ready to film and it's like a, field trip at school. Someone's got to pee. But now like the difference is one person goes, now you've got like 30 or 40, 50, 60 people running. And now once they get back, another 150 are like, well, I might as well go. And now we're waiting around for another 45 minutes and they're like, well, we got to feed you guys. So now we're waiting another hour and a half to get fed, which they did great. The food was awesome here. But when we got to this first challenge, the whole row is going to drop. People just self sacrificed for 20K. And now it's like, what do we do? You can't, like you said, you can't communicate with your line. I have no idea who most of the people in front of me
Yeah.
are. And I literally just started praying, like, Lord, is this a way for me to show your love for these people? Should I sacrifice myself and my game to
Wow.
keep these people going? And before I even had a chance, this old timer
He
hit
was
the
great.
button. And the thing that's not in the show, and I hope it makes a behind the scenes at some point, dude hits the button like almost immediately. And I swear we were the first ones, but in the show it's in a different sequence. Maybe I was just so excited when it happened. I misremember, but he hit the button, rips his shirt off, starts swinging it around his head, and then runs to the giant stack of cash, and then makes his way to the top of $5 million, and is still swinging his shirt around over his head. And
And
I was like, "That's my hero."
and he's in my dad's age group. And like it's like part of me like pictures my dad and I'm like, oh my God, what a cool cat.
Yeah, he was really, really happy to do it too. And that's when stuff started to get pretty intense. What do you remember from before we talk about the drama? Like where did your row fall in your memory of
Yeah.
when they sacrificed?
Again, I was all the way in the back. So for me, it was just hope and trust that someone is going to do it. And part of me kind of goes through, takes me back to flags. We have our beast number because of our flag capture. And the people who captured flags in the 700s, 800s, and 900s were people who were either helping people like you and I, or people who needed support, or who might have been a
Yep.
little bit anxious. I want to say those are the feelers. Those are the people who are a little bit more altruistic. So I just had a little bit of confidence that, gosh, there's someone in here who loves to give and wants to help. And I was fortunate, and I didn't know who it was. I didn't know who it was until I saw the episode, and it was Morgan, 755. Um, and it's just he need to hear her sentiment. It's like, hey, I wish more people would help others, and I'm going to do this to show the way, or something to that extent. And I was like, oh my gosh, like how cool is that?
Let's show that really quick because it was a really cool scene. And then while that's kind of going on, let's talk about what soon ensued. Because again, there was some really good people that had that heart to help. And when
Oh,
they did, I mean, it made a huge difference. All right, who's this guy?
who is it?
Oh man,
And get that guy a
get him out.
razor.
Oh, look at 747 in the back. Dude's a
Oh
The
legend.
money
yeah.
to go home. Why would you sacrifice yourself for the team?
I feel like I have to sacrifice myself. I just want people to know I really do care about them. And I wish more games were like that. So
I'm not going. I know you're not going. I know he's
So
not
many
going.
We're going to bite the bullet.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not touching it, please.
Someone for the greater good of the whole team has to leave.
What's it look like down that way?
It won't
The
be me.
tension was
Nobody?
getting higher and higher.
Oh yeah, and guys, one more
It's
thing. This game has
oh, and
already
then when he
started.
says, and by the way,
And it will
just
not
started.
end until
Like, that's-
the last 3 rows to eliminate someone
Look at
will
everybody.
all be
Oh.
eliminated together.
So many
Only
people.
9 of the 12 rows will be moving on.
Come on. Click it. Come on.
Oh, whoa!
Okay, so in that shot, I want to pull that back for record because they showed someone hitting the
Somebody else
button,
might do it.
and then there was another green row, and I think it was ours already. So she hit it. Oh, dang it. I got to go back like a half a second because it wasn't the first green row.
Oh, right there.
There it is. See,
There
I
it
was
is.
right.
Yep.
I was
Yes.
right. We were the first row to hit the button. Our guy, like I said, I was praying about it, and all of a sudden, but before I even had time to finish the prayer, he'd hit the button. It was so fast. So we'll show him, but then she hit. And again, the excitement too, like when your row hit the button.
Oh, it's
There he is. 983.
yes.
755. So now at this stage, you and I are safe.
And the feeling is just so hard to describe. It is just like, you are totally relieved. It's kind of like you have a super hard workout and you're like, wait, that's the last rep? And so like it was wild. And so then you're just watching and you're looking for your friends and you're kind of going, are they safe? One row remaining. One row remaining.
This is where it gets crazy.
This is my favorite part of episode 1, hands down. Like, I love this. In 505, I get goosebumps every time. Man. I love this shot.
And I mean, the energy is so raw. And again, you've got people like mad at each other that they're not quitting. You've got people trying to make each other quit. You've got people begging and crying. And then again, you've got 505 right here just seeing the writing on the wall being like, no one's going to do it.
Yeah, and she's thinking about it.
I mean, that's a hero. I mean,
really
all of the
is.
people that sacrificed themselves.
And look at this. Look at this. Look, she lets it out. Oh, gosh.
All of these people deserve
Be able to give that girl a hug.
Whoa! How you feeling?
I mean, that's powerful.
I'm sad.
Everyone in your row, give her a round of
Unbelievable.
applause for sacrificing herself.
I love that.
I mean, when guys, what you are watching,
I don't know. That moment was so intense. The energy shifted so drastic. And again, I think you mentioned it. It really spoke to the mentality of a lot of the people in the rows. The first couple hundred people were very athletic and very, when they grabbed their flags. That wasn't everybody. We both
Yeah,
knew some
true.
people that got reassigned a number. There was a legend named Justin.
Yep.
I called him Mr. Smoothstone because he was just as calm as a creek. He was just went with the flow, wasn't riled by anything, and he was actually part of the squad to help us get a lot of people through on flags. And he went after I did. He was the last one from our crew to go over to make that run. He got a flag, but with there only being 1,000 people going to Beast Games, as that last platform got eliminated in Vegas for the audition, they had to reassign some numbers. And the numbers that got reassigned, a lot of those people on the platform that lost their flag number were lower numbers. So I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe Justin was number 66.
Yep.
And
He was.
he got put into that first row with a lot of really athletic people that, really have that drive to be here. So they didn't have that heart to self-sacrifice, which is sad. Man.
Yeah, it was Justin 66, John 312. Those were people. I mean, John was a stud of a leader, always helping people out. Yeah, so it was, again, thrilled to be moving on, but the agony of, oh my gosh, wait, you got to go home, Justin. Oh my gosh. So it's just it hurts us, but I can only imagine how they felt at that moment because
Yeah.
they want to participate. You want to play some games.
Yeah, I feel like at that stage, a buddy of mine from the original Last to Leave the Circle video, where there was 100 of us for like 12 days in this circle. And again, the bonds that we were able to make were really, really intense. And a buddy of mine, Spiffy Jake, he was number 100, which just looked so good
Yeah.
on a jersey. And I was just devastated that, him and JP and John and Justin weren't able to seemingly compete in the game in the way that I think that everyone had envisioned. And the thing that a lot of folks still, I don't think, grasp and understand is like the the bonding that happens in these moments are so intense because there's so much on the line. The adrenaline is through the roof where, you build a really good connection with someone in just a few days.
Yeah.
Just in Vegas, we were in Vegas for 3 or 4 days and there was a couple of days of processing. And again, even on the platforms for a few days, it really takes some practice to understand that this is a game. But for me, I never wanted to callous my heart because I knew how easy it would be just to be like, nope, I'm in full game mode. Everyone that leaves, that's bringing me one step closer. Like the Lord put it on my heart to do the exact opposite. He's saying, nope, I want you to care for every single person that's here. I want you to care about their dreams. I want you to really be emotionally invested into these people in a way that I hadn't experienced before. So I felt a lot of heartbreak. I feel like in this show, I was more emotional than I've probably been in a while. And I don't regret that because it really, again, just helped solidify some of these bonds with folks like you and, some of the people that we're talking about that went home. And again, in episode 2, once we get there, there's a lot of heartbreak there too.
Oh yeah.
So we've got that joy of going through, and honestly, it was a lot. But at this stage, we hadn't had any massive drops through the floor yet. And I want to show you guys, let me scrub to it real quick. Like, personally, what I think is one of the coolest shots ever in any reality TV show of them dropping, what is it, 83 people through the floor.
It's wild.
So let's watch this. The drone work alone and the cinematography for this is just so
Yes.
nuts.
Drop the rope.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's so good. And it was a single shot. You can get one take at this. And yes, granted, there's cameras everywhere.
Whoa,
But like
is
that
crazy.
initial drone shot and the domino
my
effect is
I
just
think, look,
This row
but you
also
even look at Mr.
couldn't
Beast's
find
face.
someone to
Like he
sacrifice
is
themselves.
astonished
So-
by it too. Like,
but then they all drop.
There you go. I think we mixed it
Oh,
up for this
man.
final row.
And then the last
whoever's
one
in the back,
was
just
random.
start hitting random buttons.
So now you just don't know. You're standing
Oh,
on a
there's-
red square and you're just
This is terrifying.
tell us what was cute. It was my briefcase,
That
buddy.
was
There it is.
diabolical.
Well, there's just one left.
oh, famous last line right here.
I know.
I am not weak. That's why I got number.
All right. And with
Too
that,
good.
this challenge is officially over. They should have got someone else.
Ah, so good. I mean, again, it just brings me right back to that moment. You're seeing all of these people. It's just absolutely epic. And again, this is one of those situations where it took a lot of time to prepare for those shots that we just watched. The safety team is all over it. This whole thing has been tested rigorously. There's an amazing behind the scenes video that you guys should check out if you haven't checked it out yet. I'm assuming if you're here listening to this, then there's a really good chance you've already watched that. But it's by Colin and Samir. Just amazing, amazing behind the scenes video. And then what's John's last name? There's another YouTuber, John.
I think it's Yorshay. Yushay.
Yeah.
Yoshei. That's an awesome one too.
Yep.
So you get Colin Samir kind of find, that they're documenting it as it goes, and then John and Mr. Beast are kind of looking back in retrospect. And it's just like both these, like again, Jeremy and I were there, but you watch these behind the scenes, you're like, oh, wait, this is how it worked. It's fascinating. I encourage you. It's as exciting as the episodes.
I agree. I found Colin and Samir's style really, really intriguing. Again, like that behind the scenes take of it is very, very raw. I loved that. And then I did like having Mr. Beast, with John, talking about stuff in hindsight, which was really cool. Again, even that shot he was so excited about.
Yeah.
Now, we got a couple more challenges before we can make it to the city, but now we've just lost what, 160 people?
No, more than that, like 240, 3 rows.
3 rows of 80. Yeah, yeah. So we lost a decent amount. And then that was the that was the end of day one.
Yeah, so we go back to our hotel.
Yep.
We are kind of sequestered. Again, we've already turned in all electronics.
Yep.
I mean, most of us don't even know what day it is or date it is. Um, it's but we are. It's like, oh, I get to sleep. What time's our call time? And you get up, get your uniform, and you get back after it.
Yep. And it was kind of cool. You just kind of lose track of time when you're in here because there's nothing else is going on. Like this is what you're here for. So you just kind of lock in. But I remember coming back in, and now all of a sudden on the side of the pillars, there's these colored boxes. And they're very, playful. They're very
Childlike.
like yeah, yeah, they're like toddler colors. They're like toddler toys. And what ends up happening is there's all kinds of odd shapes out of foam in all these toddler colors, and we had to stack them. We had to take a red cube, like a rectangle, put it up, and then we had to put all of the other shapes on top. And we had 10 minutes to do it. And if your tower fell over and pieces fell, you were just done. And then they would set a timer, and I think we had to get rid of 100 people at this game. And we're all stacking the best we can, but it's like who practices stacking, toys like this? I'm grateful for this. I've got four small kids myself. I'm like, oh no, this is right up my wheelhouse. I thought it was going to be some odd puzzle putting them all together. It's just like, no, just don't have them fall down.
That's how I felt. I'm like, okay, I got two kids. But part of me, because the pressure goes on, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll never hear the end of it if I don't get through this with two kids. So my approach was like, okay, we have 10 minutes. I think it was like 15 blocks you have to put on top of that red kind of rectangular one. And so for the first minute, I kind of go, hey, I don't do this that often, but I think there's people who probably do stuff like this. I just started watching people. So I look around and kind of go, how are they doing it? And one of the things I took away was, oh, build your kind of tower before you start placing it. So I think I built my tower in two or three sections, and then I would put it on top of my red platform. Um, because they're all different shapes. Like it's just really hard to like make sure that you're doing it right as you're going. Because once you start, you can't undo it.
Well, and the interesting thing, I'm going to show a little clip of Mr. Beast's explanation. I'm not going to play the audio. That way we can talk over it, but it's showing a couple robot figures trying some combination because that's the thing that I found really, really fascinating is if you look, I'm going to show you right here. The amount of combinations to be able to pull this off is just insane. And
It,
all of the different styles that you'd see were just crazy.
you would see ones that like, there's no way this is going to stand up, and
I
they
mean,
did.
and I mean,
It
look
was
at these shapes.
yeah.
Like so many triangles. Mine, I felt like I had a really strong strategy. I put it, I laid everything out, kind of did the same thing you did, built it in a few different sections, and then put it on, and it felt pretty good. And I still had like 4 minutes left. And again, this is stressful. Like the room got so quiet when it was go time that for whatever reason though, like I took it down. I had a really strong looking tower,
Yeah.
4 minutes left, and I was like, I should do this better. And then I had it placed where like everything was off to one side, just drastically. And I have no idea how it counterbalanced, but it was stressful. I'm standing there nervous for these play blocks. And we're trying to get rid of 100 people. and then they're going to start a timer, and the first 100 towers to fall, you're eliminated. But now, like, it just became sheer chaos. Everyone's quiet. We're building like crazy. And then all of a sudden, just tower after tower after tower. I'm going to bring it back up and we can just talk over it. Just
Yeah,
kept falling.
yeah,
And the other crazy part about it is there's so many cameras on this in this game. So it's like as these are all falling, it's super nerve-wracking. Like people fall, the tower falls, and then people fall. I just remember it being so tightly correlated with that drama. But now it's still that line of there's hundreds of us, and this place is massive where you don't know who's still in it. You don't know who's out of it. And a lot of people, like, fast forward here a little bit, so we don't waste all the time, but when that timer was done, oh man, look at that. There was so many people that were out
yeah.
where we had hours and hours of review. Like we've got my buddy Merc here. I mean, he's such a stud, wicked cool dude.
Yeah.
And Tower's looking good. Oh, Chris, he's a legend. And then all of a sudden, like we're waiting, the 10-minute period is up, and now the stress is so high. And they're telling us right now that, look, we're going to review the footage and we're going to see who's safe and who's not. If your tower fell, like there's zero confidence in anybody. I
Oh my
didn't see
God.
anybody that had a tower that fell down that was going, "Oh my gosh, I feel fine. I'm probably okay." No.
And it's one of these things where there's so many people that you can't even like look around and kind of go, you can't even guess that if 100 have fell before you. Like it's just there's just so many people that you're just like paralyzed.
Yep. Oh, and then Merckx, his dropped right behind him. He thought he was safe, but all right, here it is. I'm gonna put the volume on for this. Just look at this center. Like the amount of effort that goes into this production is wild.
Here's a little behind the scenes. This is our control room with all the guards. And they're not going to stop until they've time-stamped every tower fallen using our world record holding.
That
100
shares one of my favorite things about these games.
To find
Obviously,
out
the
which
Friendship
100
Forge,
towers fell
are amazing.
and who is
But
going
I
home.
just did
think
not
you're
expect
totally
it
good.
to be
You're
so
definitely like
fair. Like, obviously, I knew it would be fair, but like they would study things down to the millisecond to see who touched a briefcase first or a flag or fell. And I loved how fair it was. Obviously, I think they have to by law, but it just gave me so much confidence that, hey, this is going to be done right. And man, I'm a kind of a rule follower. I like to play by the rules. So it's like I just felt good that I was, yeah,
I
the referees were going to be honest.
I agree. I feel like it really was that great equalizer where there was no fear of favoritism and and a lot of these things I know Mr. Beast in the past, like a lot of people have thought, that stuff is staged. And, like I said, I've been in a few Mr. Beast videos and there's nothing staged about it. Like you can't stage it the way that this stuff unfolds. So the fact that, again, they're doing everything they can to be above reproach to make it as fair as physically possible for every single person that's there because every person wants to be here. And it was really dramatic because, again, we waited for hours. And then next thing you know, so many people are safe. There was hundreds of people that their towers fell.
Yeah.
And then just the rejoice that they had that they were resurrected from the dead.
And
Which
just to
is
give a little perspective too. Again, Jeremy, you mentioned that we went home the night before, so we had all day to think about what's going to happen next. Nobody thought we'd have a game as elementary as building blocks. We were thinking about puzzles and matching and weird kind of math things. Like it was just like, and then we get these blocks. And this is what I love about Mr. Beast is you think you can try to predict it. You can have these theories, and we all had them. But sometimes it's so simple that it's complex, and it was so fun. I mean, it was so. And again, 100 go away. We had some friends who went away. I think it's when JP went away. Um, and it's just like, it hurts.
yeah, it's definitely hard. I love the celebration that some of these guys had. Like this is probably my favorite celebration. I'm sure you'll agree with me once you see it. But we've got
Oh,
this guy right here just dancing up a storm. Look at this. Like just
Dan.
so much
Yeah.
raw,
I
happy
mean,
energy. And again, but
yeah, I
on
don't
the
know if you got a chance
backside.
to hang out with 412, but he is hysterical. He's a funny guy.
Oh man. But then again, with that joy, it's also that just absolute heartbreak.
Yeah.
You know, you've got people's dreams that have been crushed. And again,
Yeah.
we all know that only one person is going to win this prize. But again, at this stage, it's so early, everyone wants it.
They just want to, but not, they obviously, I think the prize is important, but people are having so much fun. I mean, this is kind of an adult summer camp. Like you are connecting with people on levels that take months or years to forge these relationships.
Yeah.
And you're kind of forced into these connections. I mean, obviously you got to choose into them, but yeah, it's like it just, oh, I have to go home and they get to keep connecting with each other. It's hard.
I'm sure the FOMO is real, you know,
Yeah.
for anyone that went home at this stage. I know it really is. And that got us to the next game, which was this one was tough. Like this, I think might have been one of the most brutal games, but it also gave everyone a chance in that room to play their own game. There's no strategy really. Like I guess there was strategy. You know what Jimmy said is he's going to bribe us. He's going to offer us a bunch of money, and we're going to eliminate our short row. So we have anywhere from 6 to 8 people in that row, and there's a whole bunch of those rows, and I think we had to get rid of 105 people
Yeah,
and
107.
107. Yeah, so we had to do that. Take someone had to take a bribe to eliminate a row over and over and over and over again. And it started with I think the first bribe was taken at $20,000. And
20 grand, but I'm gonna be the contrarian here is I think there was a strategy. You know, and don't get me wrong, I think this was a hard game. You know, if someone is committed to taking a bribe and going home, but I think you had to try to forge a relationship quickly with
yeah,
people, and you had to have kind of forge a team. You know, I was blessed with an awesome row of just people who I knew. And the it was row three, which was kind of 180 to 251, I think, or you know, so might have been a few more people than that, or um, that row didn't have anybody on the right and didn't have anybody on the left, so they were isolated. Like so, those were the people that you really go if someone's going to press the button, it's going to be them. And we had 251 Harrison in my row, who you guys will see in episode two. And I sat next to him on a bus for 3 hours, and I go, okay, I like this guy. He's not going to take the bribe. I feel good. And then I look down the row. I see a guy who I played basketball with at the hotel. Then I have J Mo, I have Trang, I have Mark. I'm like, oh, we got a solid row. I feel good. And then we just forged this team where we had chance, and I felt good. But I also understood that we did that. You know, we invested it versus just be okay. Are you gonna do it? So I think there was strategy to it, but it also helped that we had some great folks who wanted to move on.
I would agree. You're right. There is some of that strategy, and it does come down to some of that bonding early on with the people in your proximity. And then, you know, if you watch the episode, you'll see a lot of people trying to communicate through body language. So I think our row, we sat down and put our back to the iPad. And I didn't know as many people in my row. Got to bond with a few of them later. You know, Blake, he was a legend. He just was super, super great.
Oh yeah,
Anytime we were together, just an amazing guy. That was the first time him and I ever saw each other. And it was funny, like he's looking down the row and he's just like this and he's going. So that became like our thing. Like
that's
we're all
cool.
checking on each other. We're like, they're pulling their fake beard because I wasn't going to go anywhere. But I did think it was interesting too that it allowed everyone to play their own game where they saw a bribe, they saw a sacrifice, they saw an individual challenge, and now they're back into a bribe,
Yeah,
understanding that we can leave with no money. And a lot of people are on the expectation of like, well, we're here. We're all going to make a
yeah,
bunch of money. They're giving away more money than they've ever done in game show history. At this stage of the show, they've given away more money than most game shows have, period. Most prizes are $1 million,
Yeah.
and they've already given that away before they even did the first challenge. So that's pretty drastic. So the first person eliminates for 20 grand, and then I believe it went to 50 grand, and then it stayed at 50 for a while, where like multiple rows just kept back to back to back to back, just vanishing. And then it
Jer
went up to
Jeremy,
80.
do you remember how long this challenge took? Like from time wise? Like I try to remember and I can't.
I mean, I don't think it was that long. I
Okay,
really
in my
don't.
mind it was hours.
I feel like it was like 45 minutes at the most
Wow, okay.
because the thing that sped it up, well, no, because I guess they put 10-minute timers up multiple times, so it could have been over an hour or two. But it did take a while, and it just got to the point with 50 grand where they bought out anybody that was willing to leave for 50 grand. And the interesting thing with this too is like you look at it in two ways. You don't know the people in the row. Like I think you and I've talked about, we really wanted to make it to the city. We had big goals, big aspirations. So the idea of taking a bribe at this stage just didn't sit well with me. I didn't have that temptation. Again, I'm looking across at these people, and I don't have the desire to steal their dream away. We saw how heartbreaking that could be in Vegas when that lady stepped off the platform, took the dream away from 99 people to try to win 50 grand, which was wild. She didn't win the money. Rewatch the YouTube video. It's crazy. But now you're not eliminating 100 people. You're eliminating like six or even seven. So it's a lot easier to justify for people to do that. And once it got up to 100 grand, that money went pretty quick. And then I think we thought it was the last one twice. And
Yeah.
then Jimmy counts the row and he's like, oh, I needed seven. And there's six in this row.
Yeah, I needed eight, no seven.
And it was crazy. And then one of the rows that was like, seemed super, super tight. They're talking to each other. We've got this. We've got this. We've got this. And then one of the guys flips at the very last second. They made it so close. And that last little bit of temptation is all it took for him. And again, like he made $100,000.
That's a ton of money.
Yeah.
And again, I can't blame people for taking money because I don't know what's going on in their life and what they need and what their families need. Um, but I will tell you, like, I didn't want to take the bribe at all. But you see that button in front of you, and it goes in your mind like, if I press this, I get that. It's just a weird, I've never had that experience where I can press a button and get 100 grand. Again, not saying I wanted to take it, but those thoughts go through my mind. And that's why like you guys did, you turn around, you sit on your hands, and we were turning around. Um, but I don't fault anybody for taking it.
No, I don't either. I mean, and at the end of the day, it's a game. We were all there to play a game,
Yep.
and we all had our own game to play. And however people did that is how they did that. And I honestly think that for having 1,000 people, it was a really good group of people. Like, I don't remember there being a lot of
Jerks.
drama and super conflict or huge ego trips. I'm not saying there weren't high emotions at times and, people backbiting, but I would say all in all, it was an incredible group. And again, this game we lost some really good friends. This is where I lost my good buddy Rocky,
Yeah.
number
800.
800, and just such a cool dude. We were friends from before we even stepped into the stadium in Vegas. Him and I just became really fast friends. And again, I know for him, it was hard to not be able to move on. Again, we're talking about the city, and now at this stage, the city is getting more and more realistic. And this is where we're like, all right, we're getting off this platform and we're going to be able to like compete in these crazy things. We're excited to be a part of history. And, again, being so close and then have that be ripped away. It's hard. And again, Rocky's an amazing guy. He's got an incredible personality, like just so funny, so jovial. But it was a hard hit for him. And
Yeah.
then
Well, it was a hard hit for us. Rocky is one of those. forever, eternally grateful guys
Yeah.
who's always bringing a smile to everybody's face and would, yeah, I mean, I would love to have to been able to walk through those gates with them.
Well, and the thing I was really looking forward to is that time to hang out because at this stage, we've been here for days and back and forth to hotels. We're not
And
seeing each other in
everybody,
the hotels. We don't know who's
everybody's in
out.
different hotels. So like,
Yep.
we're in like 8 different hotels. So I didn't, the first time I saw you was at the games.
Yep. But again, we still didn't have a chance to, hang out or talk or even catch up and talk about the stress of what this was. And, hoping to do that with some of these people and then to walk by them, like not even be able to like, man, I just want to give them a hug. But again, we're being like rushed out because it's super late. And then they actually dropped everybody after we left. And then they ushered us into the city, which was wild. I mean, it's the middle of the night. Felt like Jurassic Park. I'm gonna see if I can find that clip to show you guys. But what were
And
your
why I
thoughts
brought it up,
walking up to the gate?
well, I know you say it was the middle of the night. It was the early morning.
You're right.
It was, we get in there, the sun is about to come up. I just, it was, I couldn't believe that Mr. Beast built that for the game. Like, I just couldn't get over how vast and big it was. It was wild. And again, at this time, we're so tired, so hungry.
It was a lot, but again, that excitement was still high. And you're right. It was definitely the middle of the like early morning. Let me share what the city looks like with you guys really quick.
This is the most insane thing you've ever seen in your life.
Look at this place. And again, another $5 million. Those towers are
500
just
people is so many
insane.
people. All right, guards, open the gate. Welcome to the city I built
Such a
for
cool
you.
feeling right here.
Welcome to Beast City. I've spent over $15 million literally building a city from scratch. And now it's the city you'll call home for the next month. They literally look like ants. Before I reveal the final twist of this episode, let me remind you what you have to look forward to.
I just want to say you should all be proud of yourselves for making it this far.
Let's go.
We started with 1,000 contestants. You have made it to the top 500. And we're just getting started.
In coming episodes, you will see the most insane, psychological, emotional, and expensive games in the history of entertainment, where people will compete for their very own private island if they can escape the Navy SEALs hunting them down.
Go! Go!
You'll watch players make the choice between a train eliminating their friends and unfathomably large amounts of money,
$1 million!
and winning a brand new Lamborghini, and so much more.
Good luck.
Which one of these
gosh.
493 players will make entertainment history? As their lives will change, but so will their bank accounts.
Man.
And one
I
of them
mean,
will
I could just
become the
rewatch that whole
champion
thing again.
winner of the largest.
It's so exciting, and to get to the city was just unreal. I remember just literally just sprinting around like a kid.
Yeah.
Like it just felt so good to be moving and to be in the fresh air again and not in a building. I just remember just running as fast as I could down. We got our bunks. I think you were the bunk under me,
Yep.
so we're essentially
Yep.
bunk mates, and, which was cool. And again, to be able to catch up was absolutely amazing. I think originally we were hoping to talk about episodes 1 and 2, but this has been about an hour. So, guys, I do think we are actually going to break this up into 2 episodes. We'll probably release them rather close to each other, but it's super important that if you're enjoying this content, this is going to be on Legacy 831 official on YouTube. And make sure to like and subscribe to the videos. And then again, in the comment sections, if you have any questions or there's anything that you want to know that you want to ask myself or Jeff, or anything that we might have missed in one of these episodes or a previous episode that's coming, please let us know in the comments. What do you have to say, Jeff? You want to
Yeah,
sign us
no,
out?
it's just so fun to watch again. And yeah, leave the comments, ask questions. We can't wait to kind of bring you along the journey and give our kind of feedback of episodes 1 and 2.
And I'm just gonna say, if you have seen episode 2, I mean, you're gonna want to tune into the next time we talk about this. So don't miss out. Tune into the next episode. Beast Files, episode 1.